So let's get right into it. We're tackling what is, without a doubt, one of the biggest questions of our lifetime. Is artificial intelligence our greatest ever tool, something that could literally solve all of humanity's problems? Or is it our final invention? The beginning of the end. The best way to really get a grip on this debate is to look at two people who are right at the center of it all. On one side, you have Demis Hassabis. He's the head of Google DeepMind, and he's the optimistic explorer, really charting a path to this future of, well, radical abundance. And on the other side, Geoffrey Hinton. He's one of the godfathers of AI, a cautious prophet who actually quit his job at Google just so he could warn the world about the dangers he's convinced are coming. Okay, so to really understand why they disagree so much, we first have to get our heads around what makes this new wave of AI so profoundly different from anything that's come before. And honestly, there's no better place to start than with the incredible vision of Demis Hassabis. Hassabis has this absolutely stunning idea that he calls the Nobel Prize conjecture. And the core of it is this: the universe itself, from the way a tiny protein folds to how entire galaxies move, it all has an underlying structure. And because it has structure, it's not just random chaos. It can be learned. It can be reverse engineered and basically understood by an AI. Now, just think about what that means for a second. It's huge. If the universe is, at its core, an informational system, then that means that even its deepest, most hidden mysteries could be cracked. And not by some exotic quantum computer, but by the classical computers we have right now, just supercharged with AGI. And look, this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky theory, right? We're already seeing it happen. AlphaFold cracked protein folding, a grand challenge that stumped scientists for 50 years. We've got models like Veo that are learning intuitive physics just by watching videos. WeatherNex is already better than traditional methods at predicting hurricanes. And AlphaEvolve, it's literally discovering brand new, more efficient computer algorithms all by itself. All this incredible progress, it kind of begs the question, doesn't it? If AI can learn the rules of reality so well, what is it that gives it such a fundamental, built-in advantage over our own human brains? For that answer, we've got to turn to Geoffrey Hinton. Hinton explains that digital minds just play by a completely different set of rules. For starters, you can make millions, even billions of copies of an AI. Each one can go off and learn something different from different data, all at the same time. And then, and this is the killer part, they can instantly merge everything they've learned into one master model. That's a knowledge transfer that is trillions of times faster than a human could ever speak. Plus, their knowledge is immortal. You just save it and reload it onto better hardware. This isn't just learning faster, it's a fundamentally better way of learning. Okay, so that's the big picture power of AI. But how does all that abstract potential actually translate to the real world? Let's talk about the immediate impact on society and on our jobs. And you know what's wild? This is the one place where our optimist and our prophet, they totally agree. They both believe the disruption that's coming for the job market is going to be unlike anything humanity has ever seen before. Hinton's warning here is, well, it's pretty sobering. He points out that past technologies, they usually created new jobs. But AI is different. The Industrial Revolution, that replaced our muscle. This revolution is replacing our minds, our intelligence itself. And when an AI can make one person, as he says, superhumanly productive, it just means you need way fewer people to get the same work done. And if you want to put some numbers on that shock, Hassabis lays it out in a way that will just stop you in your tracks. He predicts a societal shift that is 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution, but happening 10 times faster. I mean, think about that. That's 100 years of change all crammed into a single decade. So as you can see here, their views on how this plays out are really different. Hinton's primary fear is mass joblessness, which leads to a loss of human purpose and dignity. Hassabis, on the other hand, sees superhuman productivity leading to what he calls radical abundance. But he admits that to handle it, we're going to need massive societal changes, maybe something like a universal basic provision. And from here, this is where their two visions just completely split apart. This is where we get into the deep existential debate about humanity's ultimate fate. So Hinton basically sees two big buckets of risk. First, you've got the short-term stuff. Bad actors misusing AI for their own goals. And then you have the second bucket, the long-term, truly existential risk of AI itself just surpassing us. And let's be clear, this first bucket of misuse, risks, it's not some far-off hypothetical problem. It is here, right now. We're talking AI-powered phishing scams that have caused a 12,000% spike in cyber attacks. The potential for a lone wolf to design a deadly bioweapon. And, of course, the way algorithms are already being used to corrupt elections and just drive us further apart into our own little echo chambers. But it's that second bucket, that long-term risk, that leads to what might be Hinton's most famous and maybe most terrifying warning. He argues that the moment we build something that is truly smarter than us, we lose control. The gap in intelligence would be like the one between us and a chicken, and we all know how that story ends for the chicken. So where does Hassabis stand on all this? Well, he sees the risks, for sure, but he frames the whole challenge in a totally different way. His approach is one of cautious optimism. He sees AGI as this ultimate tool for science. For him, it's not about winning a race or losing control. It's about a collective responsibility to carefully and safely guide this technology for the benefit of all humanity. So when you boil it all down, that's the crucial difference right there. Both men are concerned, absolutely, but their assessment of the ultimate existential risk is just worlds apart. Hinton sees a high, maybe even unavoidable probability of disaster. Hassabis sees a risk, a non-zero risk that we have to take incredibly seriously, but one that he believes can be managed if we are responsible. But, and this is what's so fascinating, even with this huge gap between them, there's this really deep common ground where these two minds meet. A shared motivation that I think reveals the true purpose of this whole journey. What really drives both of them at the end of the day is this profound philosophical curiosity. They aren't just building tech for the sake of tech. They're trying to use it to answer the biggest questions we've ever been able to ask. What is reality? What is life? And the big one, what even is consciousness? You've got Hassabis, who's trying to build an AI to help us understand the universe, to create a perfect model of reality itself. And then you have Hinton, who's using AI to look inward, to understand ourselves. He argues that if a machine can act like it has an emotion in every single way, well, then maybe it does have that emotion, forcing us to ask what makes us so special. And isn't that the ultimate irony here? In this whole quest to build an artificial mind, we're being forced to stare into a mirror and ask the most fundamental questions about our own minds, our own consciousness, and our own place in the cosmos. And so that leaves us, you and me, with this monumental choice. The two paths are laid out pretty clearly, but where they lead is anything but certain. The question you see on the screen, it's not just for the pioneers anymore. It's for all of us. Which path are we going to choose?